the Minnesota Vikings will host the Chicago Bears for Week 18. And this is our Week 18 preview for the Minnesota Vikings. The first of many Week 18 previews. This is the very first Week 18 in NFL history, and it doesn't feel good. Okay, Minnesota Vikings will host the Chicago Bears, the 6-10 Chicago Bears, Sunday, 12 o'clock on Fox. Welcome back to the Suck Bowl. A few weeks ago, the Minnesota Vikings played the Chicago Bears. Two worst head coaches in football went head-to-head on prime time. Everyone was forced to watch that. A few weeks later, now we're getting the Chicago Bears at home. Good thing is it's not prime time. However, another good news. Welcome to Mike Zimmer's final game as our head coach. We have arrived. Now, I want to credit Mike Zimmer real quick. Before he's fired, I just want to credit him. He was a good coach. He was a good coach. Take away the last 2 seasons, I did like Mike Zimmer as our head coach. But it's time. It is time to move on. It's time to look to the future. As a matter of fact, Mike Zimmer was the best head coach in my lifetime that I've watched, because I've seen some awful head coaches with the Minnesota Vikings. We might have let Mike Tomlin go. That would have been nice. We might have let Kevin Stefanski go. And it's a couple years overdue from firing Mike Zimmer, but it is time, and it is so good to see that it's finally here, and we can look to the future for this team. Now, taking a look into this game, we're going to start off by doing it how we usually do it, where we take a look at injuries and all of that going into this game. Minnesota Vikings COVID reserve list. So, since our last edition of this episode, the Minnesota Vikings have added 6 players to the COVID reserve list. Yes, that's 6. As a matter of fact, if you can hear my voices might be a little bit different and I have a stuffy nose, I'm also dealing with COVID right now, so we're fighting through that, but that's not stopping me from doing an episode. No, it won't. Taking a look at this Vikings COVID reserve list, Harrison Hand has been added to the COVID reserve list. Chris Herndon, Cam Bynum, Ezra Cleveland, Christian Darrisaw, and Eric Kendricks. 6 players been added. That is 6 players, with 3 of those players being our starters: Ezra Cleveland, Christian Darrisaw, and Eric Kendricks. I mean, really, who cares? This game doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, I'd rather watch our backups play in this game. Taking a look at our other Vikings injuries, Chris Boyd has not practiced all week with a ribs injury. That sucks. I wanted to see more of Chris Boyd in this game. We need to see what these young corners can do. That's Chris Boyd and Harrison Hand will likely both not play in this upcoming game. Sucks to see. I'd like to see more of them, though. Michael Pierce, again, did not participate this week with an illness. Odd. Okay, Michael Pierce is not participating with an illness now. So, seems like every week Michael Pierce is on this list and continues to be injured. And Armon Watts has done an excellent job stepping in for him. So Michael Pierce might not be out there, but that doesn't even matter, because Armon Watts is a great defensive end, or a great defensive tackle. Plays at the nose tackle position. And honestly, going forward, we might not have to bring Michael Pierce back. He's expected to be a free agent in 2023. We can just move on to Armon Watts. I mean, I have faith in Andre Patterson continuing to develop Armon Watts. Great draft pick out of 6th round, and we will likely see him start in this game as well. Luke Stalker, player who shouldn't even be on our team, was a limited participant with an elbow injury. Cam Dantzler, limited with a calf. Kane Nwangu, limited with a hamstring. Mackenzie Alexander, limited participant with an ankle injury. So Kane Nwangu, Cam Dantzler, 2 players I'd like to see more of as well in this game. So it sucks to see that they're not going to play. Also on the Bears sideline, you have Justin Fields, who was added to the COVID reserve list and won't play in this game. So we'll likely see Andy Dalton or Nick Foles play. I mean, who really cares? They're both not going to look good on their team, especially with that offense. And then also Akeem Hicks did not participate this week. Akeem Hicks, a great defensive lineman who has been injured, suffering with injuries his entire career. Hate injuries because they continue to ruin their team. Their team has been suffering with injuries just like the Vikings have been all year long, even though they only have 2 players on this list this week. Again, they've been suffering with some big injuries, especially Khalil Mack, their star outside linebacker. But taking a look at that, though, this is going to be a little bit different of an episode, where this is going to be a little bit different because typically we take a look at how the Vikings can win this game. And I can bring up the same reasons, like obviously everybody trying to stop Montgomery, holding Montgomery to under. We're not going to talk about that. We aren't. Because in all honesty, win or lose, it doesn't feel good for this Vikings team. As a matter of fact, best case scenario, the Vikings lose this game. It'll give us a better draft pick, but winning I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to cheer for my Vikings team to win. I will always cheer for my Vikings team to win. Best case scenario, we do lose this game and get a better draft pick, though. It sucks to see. Welcome back to the Suck Bowl, because Mike Zimmer and Matt Nagy are both going to be playing their final game as head coach. We'll likely see Mike Zimmer be a defensive coordinator somewhere, and why do I keep saying it? Matt Nagy go be a offensive coordinator or assistant head coach or something somewhere else. They both have a solid role to play still in the NFL. As for Clint Kubiak, next job's going to be at Amazon warehouse because he has no place as a head coach. Or as a coaching on any coaching staff in general. The only reason why he has a job is because of his dad. I can't stand Clint Kubiak, and he doesn't get enough hate. He doesn't get enough hate. I hate to say that, but he really doesn't, as he's been the worst offensive play caller maybe this entire season. Actually, Matt Nagy could also be considered one of the worst play callers this season as well. What I want to look at here is the backups. What I want to look at here is what these players, these rookies can do. Now, I talked about this a little bit on my previous episode, but we have to see more of Kellen Mond. Okay, Kirk Cousins might be back off of the COVID reserve list. Who cares? Okay, we don't need to see Kirk Cousins anymore. We don't. I've seen enough of Kirk Cousins. Now, yes, I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater. I love the guy. But we have to look to the future for this team. And that future is not Kirk Cousins. That future is not $45 million Kirk Cousins. We have to look to the future. And yes, it's probably not going to be Mond as well. But why not at least see what Mond can do as a starter? We saw what he did in the preseason. That wasn't good at all. We saw what he did in the limited time he had last week. Again, the same story. However, in this game, just see what these rookies and backups can do, because this game, treat this game like the Vikings are already up 40-0 in the fourth quarter. Treat this game like a garbage time game, because that is exactly what it is. All 4 quarters for this game is garbage time, and that's what Mike Zimmer has to treat it as. Knowing Mike Zimmer, he'll probably bench Kirk Cousins and play Sean Mannion. Yeah, maybe the worst backup quarterback in football. Mike Zimmer just has to put his final FU on this Vikings organization, because I am so tired of him as a head coach. And really, we have to look to the future. And obviously, that does start in the front office at the head coaching and offensive play calling position. However, going forward, we have to look to a new quarterback. And in all honesty, I might be the only Vikings fan saying this, but the future is bright for this Vikings team. Now, we don't have a young star quarterback. We don't have, obviously, a Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow on our team right now. We don't have a young star quarterback. What we do have is a young, talented offense. The Minnesota Vikings have had one of the best offenses in football, and the youngest offense in football. Only 4 of our starters on offense are not on the rookie contract. Yet the Vikings continue, or will have, take away the last couple weeks, we'll put that aside because the last couple weeks the Vikings offenses looked awful. Before that, when the Vikings are at their best with Adam Thielen on this team, with our team completely healthy, the Vikings look like a top 5 offense, and we look like a Super Bowl contending offense out there. The future is bright for this Vikings offense. We need to get a good head coach, an offensive-minded head coach, and a young quarterback, at least, bare minimum, a quarterback that can play for Kirk's job. Bare minimum. That's what the Vikings need to bring in. The future is bright for this Vikings offense. However, in this game, what do we want to see? What these rookies and young players can do. Okay, I don't need to see any more of Kirk Cousins. I don't need to see any more of Dalvin Cook. I really don't. What I want to see more of is Kane Nwangwu out there. What I want to see is Kellen Mond out there. I want to see Amir Smith-Marset get more play time on offense. I don't need to see D.D. Westbrook out there making plays. I really don't care. I really don't. And you take a look at our Vikings defense. I want to see Cam Bynum. I want to see Chaz Surratt out there. I want to see what these guys can do, because we haven't seen any of it yet this season. Yet the Vikings continue to look awful. There is no reason to play Nick Vigil in this game, okay? Nick Vigil's probably not going to be with the team next year. Why should you even want to play him? See what these other players can do. If it's not going to be Chaz Surratt, play Blake Lynch. Okay, just some of these young players, I don't care. Play tough Borland for all I care. Just play some of these young players on defense and on offense. Why? Because this game means absolutely nothing. Treat this game like it is garbage time. And I hate that the NFL season is coming to an end, because obviously I love watching football. It's the best sport in the world. But it feels good that the Vikings season is coming to an end, because this has been a very disappointing Viking season. A very disappointing Viking season. And really, when I'm watching the press conferences, it seems like Mike Zimmer doesn't care. It seems like Kirk Cousins doesn't care. Justin Jefferson does care. I'm very happy that we at least have one person that cares about winning. As a matter of fact, for the bold prediction of the week for the Minnesota Vikings, Vikings will win this game. But Kirk Cousins will seem unfazed from having another losing season. After this game, the Minnesota Vikings will likely have a press conference with Kirk Cousins. I doubt Kirk Cousins is even going to care that the Vikings continue to lose, continue to look bad, that the Vikings are missing the playoffs again. I doubt it's going to happen. Kirk Cousins will probably walk up there and seem unfazed with the fact that the Minnesota Vikings continue to lose games. Now, I am not a Kirk Cousins hater, and I've said this multiple times. I do love the guy. I like his personality. I think he's very talented. However, what he isn't is the future for this team. What he isn't is the quarterback that can bring us to a Super Bowl. We brought him in to bring us to a Super Bowl. It's been 4 years, you guys. 4 years with Kirk Cousins as our head coach. Under those 4 years, we have 0 division titles, 1 playoff appearance, 1 playoff win. What else is there to see, Minnesota Vikings fans? What else is there to see? He'll likely seem unfazed in the press conference and give us a reason to trade him away. He will give us a reason to trade him away after this game. Final prediction for the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings will win this game 20-13, a 7-point win over the Chicago Bears. That means absolutely nothing for this Vikings team. But again, I'll predict the Vikings to win this game because I think Vikings will likely look okay. They'll look okay, especially since it's at home. It'll give us a little bit more of a reason to win. Get that home field advantage, that home field energy going for this Vikings offense, and maybe even put up over 40 points for all I care. Especially for how bad the Bears are looking, and they're also better off losing this game. But it just feels so good that the Viking season is coming to an end, and we can actually look to the future. We can look to a new head coach, maybe a new quarterback, maybe trade away Kirk Cousins, look to free agency, look to the draft. It's finally time to look to the future for this team, and I'm all in for it. And tune into this episode, tune into this podcast, because we're going to continue to take a look at this Vikings team all offseason. We're going to take a look at how rebuilding this Vikings team going forward is and should look, and how it is going to look going forward. And obviously that starts with the quarterback, or that starts with the head coach, and that's what we talked about on our last episode, so you should check that out. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Vikings in-house decisions on the 2022 free agency. But taking a look at this Minnesota Vikings Week 18 preview, hope you all do enjoy.